Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, or Tiger Tank 12, however you want to call me. I don't really care, and welcome back to World of Tanks. Today we have some news on matchmaking improvements for the low tier novice players. This is probably going to be coming for all the servers, but just to be safe, I'm only reading this article on the North American server at the moment, or on the North American platform of World of Tanks, and it's about one of the biggest issues that I have been talking about for years, and not just me, a lot of players that have played World of Tanks. It's about finally addressing the problem of new players coming into the game without really having any kind of plan on how to play World of Tanks, who are now getting some protection from the older players who've played this game to death, and, from time to time, take a couple of trips back to low tiers, let's say tier 3 or 4, and then play some really uncomfortable premium tanks that just completely destroy the new players that are in there trying to, learn the game, trying to get used to the controls, the game itself, and they kind of have had a very negative effect of making a lot of people leave the game early on before they even had time to really experience what World of Tanks had to give. So we're going to go through all the points, what they're going to be doing, and how it's going to be affecting World of Tanks in the future, and how it's going to be affecting the new players. Then I'm going to give you guys my opinion on it. I think a big question right now is this change coming in too late? It's the year 2021. We've talked about this for years now, but it's coming in now, 2021. We know that World of Tanks is no longer growing at the exponential rate that it did previously. Doesn't mean that the game is completely dead. Doesn't mean that there are no new players. But it's even more important that you can give a very nice environment and nurture these players into, new World of Tanks players that are not going to be as easily attacked and thrown off the game because of some people playing the low tiers. So the thing is, you're still going to be able to play low tier vehicles. That is all going to be good. But it is quite interesting to see. So let's see it. New players in low tier random battles, tier 1 to 5, will find themselves in more comfortable battles because most of the tankers in their queue will most often be fellow novices. So this is going to be the big change. So novices will be put together into matches where they're going to be going up against other novice players. That is a very good thing, because it will definitely give them a fighting chance if everybody involved in there is a new player. So how do they define novice player? You're considered a novice if you haven't played a single battle in researchable tier 7 or higher vehicles in any game mode. If you show decent performance in battles with novices, we'll assign you the status of regular player. If you purchase a tier 7 or tier 8 premium vehicle, but continue to fight in low tier 1 to 5 battles, you will still be considered a novice. So okay, even if you buy a tier 8, a tier 7 premium tank, you'll still be considered a novice if you haven't unlocked a tier 7 vehicle that is a standard tank. The thing is, that is a bit of a problematic thing. People that reroll, that really want to hurt like new players, they will actually just buy or make a new account. They will rejoin in, but they probably will not have the opportunity to buy the very overpowered premium tanks at the lower tiers. So that's a good thing. That's a very good thing so far. If a novice enters a battle using a low tier vehicle, the matchmaker will try to assemble the battle in a separate queue involving only novices in both teams. But if the novices are not enough to create 2 full teams, the matchmaker will try to add regular players to these specific novice battles. So you're not going to be completely safe from, let's say, players that have already played a lot of games, but most of the people that should be in the lobby are going to be novice players. So that's a good thing so far. If you enter a battle using a tier 6 vehicle as a novice player, you will be instantly placed in a standard random battle queue with regular players. So it only goes to tier 5. There are going to be several maps, so regardless of whether you'll find yourself in a battle with novices, regular, of regular, of AI players. There will be streamlined regular or AI players, I think. There will be streamlined list of 5 maps for tier 1 to tier 3 battles. So Mines, Himmelsdorf, Abbey, Ensk, and Steppes will be in tier 1 to tier 3 battles, which makes sense. The last 2 of which are new additions as of the update 1.12. All other maps will be available depending on which player the matchmaker sends into battle. If the battle is assembled with only novices, all other locales will be available starting from tier 5 and from tier 4 for battles with regular players. So you're going to be able to reach other maps if you get through tier 1 to 3. So they're also going to be AI controlled vehicles. What does that mean? In the lower places, especially on servers that do not have a lot of players, a very low population, for example, like North America at certain times of day, there are going to be AI controlled tankers. And these AI controlled tankers will basically be, you're going to be fighting against them. They're going to be bots, and you still earn the same amount of experience as you would with other players, and you will still be able to receive awards and achievements if you do take part in personal missions. So these AI players are only between the tiers 1 and 5, and they're only going to be there if there are really no players available. So you cannot check their stats because they do not have any stats, but they're going to be a part of the game at the lower tiers. And I think that's a good thing. I would have much rather seen new players only play against new players and AI, but I can understand that they want to also give them a little bit of ability to play against also regular players. Not as many, of course, but I still see that there are some instances where people will be abusing that system. So I hope that Wargaming have looked into this correctly. But their main points, the main thing that they want to do with this change, of all of these changes that are coming in, is they want to reduce the difficulty curve to make it easier for novices to grasp the basics of World of Tanks and motivate them to play and win. So that is probably one of the biggest issues that they had with the older players being in the game, just going down, stepping down to tier 4, to tier 3, even tier 5 and 6 from time to time. They just completely wasted the fun for a lot of the newer players. And basically, because there are so many different options out there in the gaming market, why should you be spending so much time in a game that just shows you that you are absolutely not welcome and everybody's just thrashing you around? Well, why should you spend any time in a game like that? That's an issue that they still have to fix, but they have fixed it at least partially here with this kind of change. But let's take a look at the other 2 points before we get to a final verdict on these changes that are coming in the next patch. So the second thing that they want to achieve is that the match should be match more experienced commanders with skilled opponents so they can continue to challenge and improve their abilities. So that's basically for us so that we do not get into those battles where we fight against new players. And decrease the queuing time for all players, especially on low population server. Will vary on different peripheries. So obviously they want to decrease the queue time. They want to make it more balanced so that we don't have to fight against new players and new players don't have to fight against us. That's probably going to be more important. And also reduce the difficulty curve to make it easier for the new players to get into the game. So all in all of these changes, they sound very logistic. They sound very logical, very rational. And I think they should have been in the game a lot earlier, a lot sooner, like a couple of years ago. But I'm glad that they're finally looking into these issues and these problem zones, and they're taking action to make the game a better environment for new players. And I can see that this is going to have maybe a bit of an impact on new players, maybe get some players back into the game that just felt like they have been, steamrolled by certain players that like to play lower tiers. I just think it's a bit too late. I don't know if there are a lot of new players playing World of Tanks. They have started some very big campaigns to actually get new players into the game itself. But I think at this time, World of Tanks is not going to be getting a lot of new players into the game. It's probably going to be more important to bind the players that are in the game and to get the players back into the game that used to play World of Tanks. There are a lot of players that stopped playing World of Tanks after certain updates. For example, when the French wheel tanks made an appearance, I think a lot of people stopped playing World of Tanks after that. When the artillery was changed, a lot of people stopped playing after that. So you can see like the big changes. Big changes do tend to create a bit of an issue with a certain amount of the player base, and they just need to find a good rhythm and a good medium to balance everything out. But I think generally speaking, this is a good way to finally give a little bit of a leeway to the new players, and hopefully we can move on into the right direction and get the game back on track. As always, I'd love to hear you guys' opinion. Tell me in the comment section down below. And as always, comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next video.